Alright guys, in the last video I showed you a couple ways to add a new list item to our shopping list. And one of the ways was kind of a quick and dirty where we just used inner HTML on an LI node. And then we also had this function here where we create the LI element, the button element, icon, text node, and we just append them all and then ultimately append to the DOM. So when it comes to clean code, I think a lot of it is preference. So obviously some things are objectively wrong or right, but I think a lot of it, most of it, comes down to the developer's preference. So in this case, if you wanted to keep this as one function, that's fine. But to me, I think it's cleaner to cut it down where a function does one thing. So we'll have this create the item, but then we'll also have another function to create the button and another function to create the icon. And then it makes it more reusable if you want to create a button or an icon somewhere else. All right, so this is completely optional what I'm doing here. I just want to give you a couple different points of view. So it's up to you on how you choose to write your code, but I want to give you the options. So let's create a function called create button, okay? Because I want this to be a separate function that takes in the classes, because each button has classes, and then also the same thing with icon. So let's create another function called create icon. All right, and then basically all we want to do, these two lines here, we're creating the button and then we're adding the classes. I'm going to cut that, put this into here, and then the classes we're going to cut and then set button.className to the classes that are passed in as arguments. All right, and then ultimately from here we just want to return the button. And then what we can do in the create new item is just set a new variable of button to the return value of create button, and then we can pass our classes in. If I save that, we're going to get the same exact thing. Now I want to do the same thing with icons, with the icons, so I'm going to grab those two lines, and in our create icon, let's paste that in, and I'm going to cut these classes, set that to the classes that come in as arguments, and then return the icon. And then that way we could come up here. Now this is another thing that you have preference on. If you want to have the icon or create icon function called in here or in the button, because the icon is inside the button. So I'm going to choose to actually do it within here. So I'll say const icon, set that to create icon, and then pass in the classes. And then this line here where we're taking the icon and appending it to the button, that is going to go down here in this function. Okay, so now if I save this, we get the same result. But to me, it's a little cleaner. Okay, we have a separate create button and a separate create icon. We're just setting the button to the return value of the create button. We're appending it to the list item, and then ultimately we're appending the list item to the UL and the DOM. All right, so if I were to call another function here, create new item, and we'll put in, I don't know, sauce, save that, and you'll see that gets added. So it's completely up to you. I'll talk about like clean code practices and stuff throughout the course, but like I said, I think a lot of it is preference.